So say you're ready to head out for a ride on your Pan America, you go to fire it up, and this happens. Now what are you going to do? Welcome back to my channel, everybody. So if you get these warning icons when you start your bike, you can use the diagnostics menu to drill down and see more information on exactly what has gone wrong. Simply use your left-hand controls to get into the diagnostics menu, and that'll bring up a listing of the 7 different control modules and units that are on this bike. So first you have the instrument panel itself. Note that the instrument panel is the only one that actually shows its ID or serial number here, even though there's placeholders for all the other units. That never shows up. Poor UI design choice in my opinion from Harley, but whatever, let's move on. Next is the body control module. This essentially controls all of the pieces of the motorcycle that's not related to the engine and the powertrain directly. Then we have the engine control module, controls the engine. The EHCU, the electronic hydraulic control unit, that's your ABS module. Then you have the IMU, the inertia measurement unit. This is the part of the bike that can measure its lean angle, side to side, forward and back. And then each of your hand controls have computer modules in them as well, left hand and right hand. And next to the listing of each of these modules is going to be the number of diagnostic trouble codes that are set in that particular module. And then you can navigate down and drill down into each one. Now looking at the code on my BCM here, I have just one, and the U at the beginning tells me that it's a communication related fault. It didn't get the right data from something that it was expecting. And the C at the end of it tells me that it is a current fault, meaning that the bike considers this to be a current and active issue. So to determine the exact details of a particular error code, you need to look it up in the electrical diagnostics manual for the bike, which I have access to through my subscription to the HD Service Information Portal. So I'll just pull up the electrical diagnostics manual and put my code in the search box. Now remember that the last character of your trouble code just indicates if it's a current code, pending code, or historical. So you don't include that when you're doing the search. And the search results tell me that this code is for invalid data received in ABS EHCU. Now to continue investigating my other codes. All right, with the ECM, we have a ABS EHCU indicates torque control fault. Next, P110300 is ABS EHCU indicates right rear WSS fault, wheel speed sensor. And I have P150200 is a JSS shorted to voltage opening. This is a pending code. And JSS is the Jiffy stand sensor. Next I have some EHCU codes. C103400 is ABS EHCU rear wheel speed circuit opener shortage. C110000 traction control fault indicated by ECM. And U040100 is invalid data from ECM VSC. Now if you don't have access to the electrical diagnostics manual, there is a Harley Davidson Pan America Facebook group that has all of these saved to a file that you can download and look up. I'll include a link to that in the description of this video, but you do need to have a Facebook account to be able to get to it. All right, so now what? Well, some folks will say just clear the codes right on, and if it's really a big issue, the codes will come back. And there is some truth in that, right? If you clear the code out, but the underlying condition that set that code is still there, it is going to set again. However, I like to first use my phone, take a picture of any and all codes that were set so that I have a record of what happened and when it happened, and I can either look them up later myself or provide that information to my dealer. Now, in a lot of cases with this bike, the codes are set because the computers and different modules are sensitive to the voltage dropping during engine cranking, during a startup. So especially during a cold weather start, or if your battery's getting weak, that voltage may drop, and that causes the computers to get incomplete data on the CAN bus, and they think that something is going wrong, and they'll set those codes. Now, usually in this case, as soon as the engine is up and running and you start riding, or even on the next ignition cycle, those codes will go away, reset, and everything's fine. In fact, at the time that I'm making this video, Harley Davidson just released an update that's supposed to allow all the computers to recognize if a communication error is just the result of a voltage dip during startup, and to not bother setting those codes anymore. However, the particular codes that I have set on my bike right now are not due to a voltage drop. So let me quickly recap those codes that I looked up. I have the BCM complaining about invalid data with the EHCU. I have the ECM complaining about bad data related to the rear-wheel speed sensor and the ABS pump. And then also codes at the ABS unit, again, complaining about the rear-wheel speed sensor and the inability to manage traction control. And the reason I have all of these codes is because in order to force some fault conditions so I could make this video and show you how to go through the menus, I actually just unplugged my rear-wheel speed sensor. Now, what about that pending error for the Jiffy stand sensor? Well, I did momentarily unplug the Jiffy stand sensor, right? Trying to set the code for that. And I plugged it back in before the bike had time to really consider that a current issue. So that's why that was just marked as pending. The bike was going to continue to monitor that. What I discovered, and it's kind of frustrating, when I had that unplugged, the instrument panel puts up the warning saying that your side stand is down, even with the bike in neutral, right? Normally it only does that when it's in gear. And there's no way to acknowledge and move on from that alert. There's no way to get into the diagnostic menus. So I did plug that one back in before I started making this video for you so I could show you that. So again, poor UI design choice. If there's any Harley Davidson engineers watching this, please put that on the backlog to fix in a future update. So once I hooked everything back up, fired up the bike again, and all was well. No code set, don't even have any historical codes, as everything just cleared out on its own. So if you go to start your bike and you get these warning icons and you drill in and see these trouble codes, it may be just due to the voltage drop. Again, if you have a weak battery, if it's kind of cold out. Hopefully the latest update that was released resolves that for everybody. Or it may indicate a failure or an issue with some component of the bike that needs to be checked out. In either case, hopefully now you know a little bit more about how to navigate through the diagnostic menu, look up those codes, figure out, get more insight into what's really going on with your motorcycle. Until next time, thanks for watching. Ride safe, everybody.